Yes, everybody, after finishing one of the absolute biggest videos I have ever done on this channel, it's finally time to get back into the swing of things and get back to that regular schedule. But before we begin this week, I just want to say that you guys have made yourselves heard loud and clear, okay? The polls are closed, the votes are in, the people have spoken. And you guys have let me know that you are totally cool with me taking viewer requests from now on. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I am totally open to just about any idea. So leave it in a comment, contact me on Twitter, the Facebook, wherever, and just let me know what you guys would like to hear about, and if I think I can make a video out of it, I'll try to in the future. So look forward to that moving forward.
Let's talk about Etrian Odyssey. It's one of those game series I've always had a passing interest in, but never had the pleasure of playing at length. Nowadays, analyzing games is my job, so whenever I get a free moment, I'll hop into some experience I've never had before and mess around, including Etrian Odyssey. But the more of these games I play, the more I start to get incredibly annoyed with the developers behind them. How so? Well, for those of you familiar with the series, you might already know about how Etrian Odyssey makes you draw your own dungeon map. It's a novel idea, if nothing else, but consistently, at the start of every single game, you will have to go through a tutorial teaching you how to do it. In fact, it's the exact same tutorial in every game, asking you to map out your current floor 100%, drawing in every wall, painting in every explorable tile, and scouring every corner for any important room or landmark. This is all well and good for new players, but bear something in mind. This series has been going on for 8 years now, almost a decade, and not including spin-offs, it's had 6 games. Now, for a franchise to last that long, it presumably needs to have fans who have played other games in the series already, and usually in the case of a JRPG, have experienced those games' mechanics quite extensively. And yet, you're still making those franchise veterans jump through the exact same hoops as everyone else, instead of acknowledging their time and effort by simply giving them the option to skip the tutorial and get to the part they want to play. You're forcing them to go through all this extraneous crap they already know how to do? Yes. In fact, they've actually gone out of their way to make this process even more frigging tedious by putting in fail-safes that keep you from copying someone else's map off the internet. You are the worst. The absolute worst. And this leads me to what is hands down my biggest bugbear in all of game design. More so than anything else, I cannot stand repetition. No matter how much I mull over this topic in my head, I cannot see the advantage of designing your game in such a way that the player will have to perform the exact same actions in the exact same context again and again. Now, if I have the option to do it or not, such as an extra time trial challenge or something, fine, that was my call. But the instant you give me no other choice in the matter is the instant I put down your game and move on to something else. What do I gain as an intelligent being by repeating the same task ad nauseum? What am I learning by fighting the exact same creatures or climbing the exact same set of platforms? Nothing. I'm simply flying on autopilot until something interesting happens, and considering engaging play is the whole reason we love this medium to begin with, where your player isn't engaged in your game, you have failed as a designer. And if you've ever spent an hour having to fight the same groups of enemies time and again just so your team of dudes is strong enough to take down the next boss, you know my pain. In fact, this is especially bad in JRPGs, which are infamously responsible for the widespread use of the term grinding. A damn shame considering it's my favorite genre. I think I've always realized how dumb grinding is, but I've never been able to put into words why until now. See, experience bars are an abstraction of a concept to begin with. Okay, let me back up and try that again in English. You physically hitting the button harder isn't what's resulting in your characters doing more damage. You're not getting stronger by playing the game, they are. And to represent that, they have numbers called stats. These are immediately understandable representations of very abstract concepts, and those concepts being things like how hard your warrior can swing his sword, or how proficient your mage is at channeling magic. In many games, you have no direct control over those things in a quote, realistic manner at the base level, so they employ something similar to an experience bar to represent the aspect of training, or how much someone needs to practice the act of fighting to get better at it. The problem with this idea is that it's inherently repetitive by nature, made even worse when you have to completely stop your search for more battles on the overworld every 3 steps so you can painstakingly draw more lines on the touchscreen. What is the point of this? The end result is going to look exactly the same as everyone else's map anyway, which is why these tutorials shoot themselves in the foot. Not only does the repetition make everything feel slower and less rewarding to begin with, but it hamstrings the design. They take the most appealing and interesting mechanic you have, freeform map drawing, and take it away. Great way to make a first impression, guys. Spirit Tracks did this better than you. Oh, but it gets deeper than just gameplay. There are layers to how repetition can outright kill an experience. How about repetitive visual cues? Ever play a game that recolors an enemy and tries to pass it off as a new challenge? Ever play a game that reuses a room or environmental feature as part of a later level? Or how about entire games that are aesthetically indistinguishable? There's a reason so many people complain about brown and gray shooters. They blend into each other, and in the grand scheme of the video game market, that's the worst thing you can possibly do. Mario stands out. Bastion stands out. Dragon's Crown stands out. Meanwhile, I could crossfade screenshots of 2 different typical military shooters over one another, and it's hard to tell where one begins and the other ends, let alone which games they actually belong to. And I'm sure all of you have a story about a sound effect you couldn't wait to stop hearing. We're just not built to find repetition enjoyable. The human mind craves new stimulus, especially in an age where the internet will provide you with the exact type of entertainment you're looking for the instant you start looking for it. You should aspire to surprise, to thrill, to keep your player guessing and constantly driving them forward. Because take it from me, the last thing you want your game to be is boring.
You know what's another thing I can't stand in video games? Repetition. I mean, God, man, who gets away with just doing the exact same thing over and over again? You know what else I can't stand in video games? Repetition. Oh, and you know what really gets under my skin? Something that just drives me up the freaking wall every time it happens? Come on, guess. Just guess. Just guess. Just guess. Just guess. Just guess. Do it!